dokie, Koki. Yeah, I hear you singing in the night, singing okie dokie, Koki. Yeah, everything is gonna be alright. Alright, 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 alright. It's gonna be alright. Yeah. I know you're small. I hear your call. I hear you singing in the night, singing okie dokie, cookie. Everything is gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright all around. I hear your sound, yeah, all around. I hear your sound, I hear you, yeah, singing in the night, singing okie dokie, cookie. Everything is gonna be alright. So let's all do some of Uncle Cokie's pokey. It's a really hokey pokey. Put your left foot in and shake it all around. You put your right foot in and shake it all around. Oh, come on, let's all do some of Uncle Cokie's pokey. And we can turn this whole world around, singing okie dokie, cookie. Everything is gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright, 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 alright. I hear you. It's gonna be alright tonight. It's gonna be alright. Yeah, though you're small, I hear your call. I hear you singing, singing in the night, singing okie dokie, cookie. Everything is gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright.
Thank you. That was music by Kaimana. We'll be hearing more from him later. Greatly appreciated. How's the sound level? Okay. Well, good morning. Welcome to New Thought. This is Sunday, April 3rd, 2022, I think. And let's have this day be the day that the world comes to peace as we come together on this lanai in peace. Um, you're welcome. We really appreciate you joining us in this endeavor so that we can all continue to learn together. My name is Stephen Goss. I'm the facilitator for today. And for our guest speaker today, we have Craig Villarrubia. He's been our honored guest in the past. He's always great. He'll be talking to us about the Course in Miracles and how we can find true peace through understanding the Course. Um, right now, we're going to start out with a reading from the Science of Mind magazine, I hope. But where's a yes? Candy, could you use this mic? I'll lower it.
I'll get taller.
Okay.
I'll just get taller.
Stand my tiptoes. Good morning. Aloha, everyone. This is from the Science of Mind magazine, a guide for spiritual living. I can't stay tall very long. It's about a new direction. If I move this, I can bring it down. Sorry. I'm good. Genius. You're a genius. We overcome the wrong by turning completely away from the wrong and giving all our life and power to the greater realization of the right. This is the secret of overcoming. The action of the law never changes, but the direction of the action is always up to us. This is a story about a dancer. Melinda Roy left her Louisiana home at age 12 to study ballet in New York City. 5 years later, she became a member of the famed New York City Ballet and worked her way up the ranks to the principal dancer, wowing audiences all over the world with their strength and grace. At night, during a performance at Lincoln Center, the unthinkable happened. When she was dancing, she heard a snap and she could not feel her leg. She limped off the stage. Roy had torn her ACL so severely that despite several reconstruction surgeries, she could not dance the way she once had. A devastating loss for the 35-year-old who had spent 10 hours a day on stage, rehearsing and performing. She left the NYCB. After months of grieving and dealing with the fear born of the uncertainty of what would come next, she made a shift. She turned her fear into exhilaration, an attitude that unleashed myriad opportunities for her as the Tony nominated Broadway choreographer, a teacher, and the founder of her own ballet company. She even had time for romance. Life does not always unfold as we plan. When we cling to how we think our lives should be, we block new possibilities, ones that might never have explored. We might never have explored. Spirit stands ready to unleash its infinite storehouse of possibilities to us when we are open to them. Here's an affirmation. I'll read it and then we'll say it together. You can repeat after me. When things do not go as planned, I turn in a new direction with a sense of exhilaration, opening myself to the unlimited possibilities of the divine mind. Okay, let's read that together. When things do not go as I planned, I turn in a new direction with a sense of exhilaration, opening myself to the unlimited possibilities of the divine mind. Opening myself to. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candy. It was a great reading. We'll all try not to cling to our old ways and can never really control the unexpected, especially technology. Mm. Uh, According to the Course in Miracles, it says that we really only have one need, and that's one need is to know ourselves. So right now we're going to do a silent kind of progressive relaxation to try to get into the now, which is the same as knowing yourself. So if you would like get comfortable in your chairs, you either sit in the yoga position like some people can, or feet flat on the floor and close close your eyes and take a big breath in. And this is about feeling, being in the now. So feel your breath as it enters in through the nostrils. Like take a deep breath and then feel it as it like goes out. Really try just to stay with the sense of awareness of the feeling. Now, without touching your face with your hands, start feeling your face, like your lips around the mouth. Can Are your lips tingling at all? Can you feel your nose, like just the end of your nose? Can you feel the space between your eyebrows or your third eye? Does it feel tensed or relaxed? Moving up, can you feel your scalp, like your ears? Coming back down your throat, and then all the way down to your solar plexus chakra. Is it any tension there? Whatever's there, just observe it, feel it without judgment. Then down to your thigh muscles, any aches or pains, your calf muscles, down to your ankles and feet. Do they feel safe, grounded? Then moving slowly back up all the way to what you're sitting on in the chair. Is the chair hard or does it feel soft and comfortable? Is your spine straight? Does it feel better if you straighten it? So it's said that the more you can accept the experience just as it is without judging it, the more we're in the now. Let's come back together now in this room, in this present moment, hopefully more in the now. So, welcome back. I'd like to say a few words about the New Thought Center. Um, typically we talk about the history and its origin and stuff. It started in the 70s as a Science of Mind church, and we minister to each other. Uh, what it is to me is like yesterday we had an amazing event here on the Lanai. It was a fundraiser for the Ukraine, and I don't know, 30, 40 people. Um, it could have been more, but it was so touching because it was a younger, a young crowd, different people, all walks, of life. A lot of them from the other side, and everybody felt like everybody came so together, like appreciating the oneness that we all need to support each other in. Uh, Helping others realize who they are, and that, like, by serving other people, we're the benefiters as well as them. And so many of them, like, were dressed like me, but they had beards and long hair and stuff. But they were so articulate, and the people that spoke, and they spoke with such sincerity and a heartfeltness that it just felt like such a community. And that's what we envision here for the New Thought Center, is more of that. So, go ahead. Could you play some more music for us, please?
So this next song, I kind of want to start by just saying, I don't know if you can see, but I have this sticker that says "Standing with Ukraine," and this next song is a Van Morrison song, big Van Morrison fan, called "Caravan." I first learned this song when President Trump was complaining about the caravans coming up from South America. And as a while, I was a tour guide, and I made a comment that I found it ironic that Europeans came to America and told Native Americans to go home. But now this song is really for the caravans of people from Ukraine, looking for a better life. And so this goes out to the families, the mothers and fathers and children looking for a new home. This is called Caravan. Well, the caravan, it's on its way. Yeah, I can hear the merry gypsies start to play. Oh, my, sweet down the road. He's a playing on the radio, singing la 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 la. We got a lot of love. We got it inside and outside, all around. We got a lot of love. We got it inside and outside and all around. And the caravan, it has all my friends. And that means everyone's staying till the end. Barefoot gypsies round the campfire sing and play. And the lady tells us of her ways, singing la 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 la, yeah, la 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 la. We got a lot of love. We got it inside and outside and all around. Yeah, we got a lot of love. And the caravan, it's painted red and white. And that means everyone's staying overnight. Oh, sweet lady of delight. upside down and all around. We got a lot of love. We got it inside and outside and all around.
Well, that was beautiful. Kaimana, thank you. Uh, this is a good time to solicit some miracles. So, ordinaries and miracles. So, if anybody has something they'd like to share, like an unexpected blessing in the recently, or maybe expected and it just worked out, like um, I was going to say, please come up and share with us. Candy, you can be first, if you would. We'll even adjust the mic this time. Or maybe that would be
Yesterday, I decided to take off by myself to a northern beach. And the first one was way too crowded. Kube is lovely, but yeah, no. Moving on north to another beach where there were hardly any people, but there were some children at the far end, which is where I like myself. And I'm always delighted by children. And a man approached the children with an octopus in his hand. And we talked about that a bit. And the octopus would squiggle away now and then. I was trying to help so that octopus didn't get hurt. And he landed on my hand for a bit and then floated away. And then I tried to catch him, my leg, because kids would hurt him probably. And he stayed there, his sticky legs everywhere. And the man said, "Oh, women like to have tattoos of octopus on their leg." And the symbolism of octopus was so fitting for my life that I felt very blessed. Thank you.
Thanks, Candy. You did have your hand up. Yeah, guys don't fight over it. Come on up.
Well, a couple of weeks ago when Stephen was facilitator, he told this story, but I want to say it again. Got an echo. It has to do with Arlo Guthrie and Alice's restaurant and the church. Remember that story? So Arlo is at the church, and some minister came and knocked on the door and said to him, "What kind of a church is this?" His answer was, "It's a bring your own God church." And I think that's what we got here at New Thought. But what I wanted to say, everybody that knows me knows I'm a big yard seller. So, so last week I went to yard sale and I came across a kimono. And I go, okay, I don't know if it feels like polyester, but I really need it. So I bought it for a few bucks, $5. Got home and it was this much too long on me. So I decided, well, that's too big to hem. So I cut it. And after I cut it inside, this whole thing is sewn by hand. There's not one machine. It's silk. It's silk. The lining is silk. Every single stitch is sewn by hand. It's like, what a treasure. And I kind of wanted to connect with the person that sewed this and thought, by cutting off the hem, I was desecrating a piece of art. But I realized, well, I had to make it work for me. So I got over the guilt of desecrating this beautiful piece of artwork. But it's like, whoa, it's like as I'm working on it, I had to hem it. I'm making a belt. I have to make the belt loops. I have to cut off that thing that hangs down here because it always gets in my food and my sink. So I'm redoing the whole thing to make it work for me. But now it's going to be my personal piece of art. But oh, it's not done yet. But yeah, I had to cut off this and it's not quite my favorite fabric, but wow, I still want to know who the I still want to know who the person is that did. And the stitching is just beautiful inside.
Wow, you didn't know you were going to be modeling, did you? I thought you were just going to share some words. There was another body or two out there. Come on up. Yeah. And what's your name?
My name is Guru Darshan, and I used to live on island about 6 months ago. I was here for about a year. And 2 nights ago, I got called to come back to the island. And my miracle is a buddy pass landed in my lap. And everything has been unfolding exactly how it should be. I actually made 3 flights after missing 3 flights. And I arrived last night, and I've always heard of the New Thought Center. So I'm really grateful to be here and to be with all of you and to receive such a beautiful welcome back to the island. So thanks for having me. Marie Claire is who is uh, guiding this process. And even on the flight from Seattle, have you ever flown towards and into the sunset where the light is holding you and you're going almost as fast as it's falling down? And there was literally this rainbow edge because there was this rainbow circle around the sun, and this little part of the light just kept on guiding my journey here. So I took a photo, but you can't always capture it. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We'd love to have you come some more and help shape this community. I was kind of told that Marie Claire kind of wanted to keep this business transition low key, not really uh, spreading it around and contacting her, etc. Is there another Palmer? You're raising your hand, but I thought you're trying to tell me
Speed it up.
I had to do something like flies unzipped or I don't know.
I'm Palmer. Uh, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Stephen shared a miracle or an ordinary where he found a tiger cowrie shell, really beautiful. And they are quite rare here on the Big Island. Um, a lot of them farther west. But I remember thinking at the time, boy, I'd like to find one of those. 2 days ago, I was doing some serious weeding in a house that we had just bought here. And I'm down on my hands and knees crawling through the brush. And my God, there was a tiger cowrie just sitting right there. So I picked it up, continued weeding. I found two more underneath the leaves. So now I've got three of them. So I want to thank Stephen for bringing that up and mentioning it 2 weeks ago. I don't have them with me now.
See what you think about manifest. So, Jeff, are you going to come on up? You can adjust your own microphone.
Oh, thank you. I'm big, I know how. Wow, I have a big mouth, loud voice. I just got back from 6 weeks in Oregon, getting reacquainted with good friends and getting teeth fixed. During the, what were we calling it? Pandemic? During the, yeah, I took to drinking this lemony kombucha throughout the day. I thought, oh, this is great, just taking sips all day long throughout the day, Costco kombucha, and ended up with 8 cavities, including one root canal in the biggest tooth in my big mouth. And it's just such a miracle that they can grind out the black stuff, shoot in some kind of composite, hit it with a UV light, and like you're good for 10 years or whatever it is. It just blows me away. And my dear friend Terry, who is responsible for me being here, helped me to save a major tooth that I had mostly, or at least partially destroyed in my neglect. And so I just want to say thank you, and thank you very much, and thanks for having me back here. It's really sweet to be back here. My friends in Oregon are like, "So you're coming back, right?" And I was like, "Eventually, maybe in a box or an urn or a bag. I don't know."
Thanks, Jeff. Ooh, I wish you didn't talk about dentist. I just had a tooth pulled yesterday. No, the day before yesterday. So, Aaron, did you want to come up? I will talk about the stickers later, but okay. So now, if everybody's complete with the ordinary miracles, our guest speaker, Craig, has a question for you. And we're going to go around the room with self introductions and answer the question probably in not too lengthy a time. And say your name, and if you like, why you're here or what brought you to New Thought. So, Craig.
Test. Okay. It works. Thank you. So this morning's question is, in one word, what is it you most want?
I think we'll pass that mic around. And it's just customary to start here on the right.
Okay, so I didn't have any time to think about it, so it'll just be whatever pops out. And my name is Pasha, and well, happiness.
My name is Larissa Morris, and gosh, I started coming here 20 something years ago with Holly Weeks. Some of the older people here would know Holly. Yeah, and so I haven't been here for a long time actually. So the one thing I would want is love.
Hello, I am. Great to see you all. So, just the one word is love. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Alessandra, and the first thing that popped in my head was joy.
My name's Luke. First thing that popped into my head was ease.
Love.
My name's Skip, and my word would be peace.
Hey, my name's Jeff, and I would say art.
Shayna, self-love.
I'm Jean. Peace.
I'm Guru Darshan, and I'd say magic.
What was the question? For what?
What do you most want?
Enlightenment.
Awareness.
I'm Annie, and I want love.
I'm Patty. I want peace.
I'm Tony, self-realization. I would say it in a different way, but those are all three words. I am that, etc., etc. So just put it into one that's not exactly, but close enough.
I'm Palmer. Well, it would have been a tiger shell, but I'll have to say bliss.
I'm Terry. Joy.
I'm Erin, and I will go with contentment.
Annie, did you go? Thank you. I'll go with peace. I'm Stephen.
And I'll go with peace as well. And I'm Craig Villarrubia.
Well, thanks for all that. I'm going to get this right eventually. And then I won't have to use it anymore, probably. So now I'd like to introduce our guest speaker today, Craig Villarrubia. He's going to be sharing his insights from the Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles aims at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. Craig's a student, a teacher, an international speaker on A Course in Miracles. As a result of a deep study with the Course, Craig has experienced what he described as an ephemeral shift in perception and experience. I have a question about the word ephemeral, which kind of means very temporary. So I'm wondering why you chose that word. You can fill us in. Anyways, he described that shift as no less than a miracle. And this awakening inspired him to share the Course's primary teaching, which is forgiveness. And Craig has traveled around the world. He's used or leveraged social media, extending the Course's primary teaching of forgiveness. And in 2014, he produced a documentary called A Course in Miracles, Enlightenment or Bust. I've watched that. It's worth watching. You can still find it on YouTube probably, or or he can tell you about that. Craig's presented here on several occasions. It's always been inspirational and worth listening to. So please welcome Craig Villarrubia.
Thank you, Stephen. And thank you, everybody, for joining me for this morning's talk. I always enjoy coming out to share because every time I come out here to share, I'm reminded of this teaching. And so everything I say for myself as much as anybody else. And I'll quickly answer Stephen's question in terms of my experience with the course. Is uh, there was a shift or an experience? Actually, there's been a few experiences that I've had, and those experiences, and I think a lot of people have had different experiences in which it's a defining moment in the sense that from that point forward, you no longer see things as you once saw them. So it's almost as if your perspective has expanded in such a way that you can see beyond the limited perspective in which you've held before. And so, in my experience, I've had many of those as a result of being set forth in A Course in Miracles. And by the way, it's not that there's anything special about the Course in Miracles, because it is, the Course itself would say there is no specialness, so there's nothing special about it. The teachings are universal. This is just one form of that universal teaching. And so those experiences, in many ways, were fleeting in the sense that they've come and gone. And I'm still left here with the work to do, and so forth. So that's the reason why I chose that word. But the experience echoes, throughout my everyday life.
Greater perspective.
Yeah, yeah. And so today I brought the course with me. I'll quickly just share a little bit about the course and what it is. And I'll read from the course and share some of the teachings of the course. And then if there's, and I think there will be about 5-10 minutes in the end, if anybody has anything on their mind that they want to ask, please, about anything that I share or anything that the course presents, I'm more than happy to go into that. So, A Course in Miracles is a big, thick book. And when I first saw this book, I thought, oh my God, I don't like to read, let alone read something like this. If you open the pages up, it is incredibly dense, um, words everywhere. And yeah, it's a thick book. It is broken up into 3 books. There is a first part of it, which is the text, which lays out the theology of the course, and then there's a workbook um, after the text, or you can actually do the workbook while you're reading the text. But the workbook, unlike the text, is the opportunity to put the principles in practice. So the workbook is truly the workbook. A friend of mine says doing A Course in Miracles is 99% practice and 1% theology. So the aim of the course is really to engage us, engage the mind. It just self-describes as a mind training course. And then there's a manual for teachers for anybody who would like to go deeper into the course and connect with it in a different way, or a deeper way. The manual for teachers is, you know, when I hear the word teacher, really what the course teaches is as you teach, you learn. And we're always teaching, regardless of what's happening, whether we realize it or not. And we're always teaching, and we're teaching one of two things and nothing in between. We're either teaching love or we're teaching fear. And the outcome or your experience is going to be a reflection of what you're teaching. And so the first question that I asked, what do you want in one word, really is a reminder that I use for myself and every day is what is it that I really want? What's like my purpose? Like, what do I want? Because really that's going to establish how you live your life according to what it is that you want. And then everybody basically had this, the essence of everybody's answer was basically the same. We want love, we want peace, we want magic, we want creativity, we want art. We want, and when you think about it, a lot of these attributes that we talked about are words we can say are attributes of God. Regardless of what you think God is, we can all agree that God is love. God is the ultimate creator. The mystery behind God. God is love. God is peace. God is ease. And God is so much more, of course. So if God is all these things, and we are extensions of God, of course, the miracle says we are all sons of God or children of God. If God is all these things and we are extensions of God, God also being omnipotent, all powerful, then it must be that we too have these same attributes, that we too are made up of these same attributes. Just as a child inherits their parents' eye color, sometimes it's their mannerisms, we too have that of our Creator. And so we stand here yet still wanting these things, not recognizing that these are the things that we actually are. So then the question is what's blocking us to the awareness of love's presence? Why does it feel like, although we can intellectually understand it, why do we still feel separate and what's blocking it? And so today, the title of today's talk is really about what are the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And the course, in essence, is really laying out the foundation of what those blocks are. And those blocks, although appear in many cases to be huge barriers, in other words, in the midst of our most difficult moments in life, it just seems so hard to overcome, whatever the issue may be. It could be relationship issues, social issues, it could be issues that we see on the television screen. It could be issues between friends. It could be financial issues. It can be a disease. Those things, from the perspective of a limited person, are daunting. It's very daunting. And so the access to love, the access to ease seems so far apart. Yet what the course would teach us is in fact that it's only a thought away. So in essence, a block to the awareness of love's presence is a thought. And it's really just one thought. It is one assumption, and that assumption is I am separate from God. I am separate from Source. I am separate from others. And the way that thought shows up is it usually shows up in story in your mind. And the story can go like this in some version. I need to do this. I need to see that. I need to plan. Today's story was about the planning. Incidentally, immediately I thought of as a course lesson. It says planning as a defense against God. The assumption is here I am in this world, and I have to plan out my life, my week, my day, my month, as if I can control all the variables that this world, contains. As if I'm guaranteed the next day, really, the next moment. It is a defense against God in the sense that it's almost like I know what my needs are better than God, right? I know this is what I need. Of Course in Miracles says if it's not in your immediate, if it's not with you right now, you don't need it. But this voice that I was talking about would often say what it is that you do need. I need this relationship. I need this job. I need this money. I need this cure. I need this happiness. By virtue of saying you need this happiness is a block in itself. This voice is always talking. This voice you've assumed is you. Course in Miracles says regardless of the teacher. The teaching is the same. Know thyself. Are you really sure you know who you are? Because this voice is telling you that you're something, telling you that you've done good, you've done well, you've done bad, you've done something wrong. You should have said this differently. You should have planned it out better. What did you say? How should you present yourself? How should you dress? What do you look like? I gained some weight. A new wrinkle showed up. More gray hairs showed up. You can tell what's been on my mind the last couple of weeks. It's like, you can see my scalp. Um, it goes on and on. And all these thoughts all have the same premise. That's me. I'm the center of this story that I speak of every day. And so, what the Course would offer as what actually a lot of spiritual teachings would offer is this idea of the Holy Spirit being the mediator between Source, God, and you. And so, if we think about the Holy Spirit, and it could be intuition, it could be inner guidance, the words don't really matter. The idea is simply that in everything that you do, you pause to break the constant pattern of that voice talking. And that voice, we can call it the ego thought system. And the ego thought system is very tricky in the sense that it speaks first and loudest. First and loudest. I used to study acting when I was at the university. And, one of the first teachings that they taught us as an actor is whatever your first choice is in how you are, you're doing your monologue or the behaviors or any kind of action, the first choice, throw it out. Throw that first choice out because that first choice is always going to be it's always going to be based on an idea of the past of how something should be, and therefore it's not going to be very interesting. And the primary function of an actor is really to bring interesting choices to the character. And so I think about that a lot in terms of everything that the ego thought system would have me believe in terms of whatever it is that I'm going to do. Usually that shows up for me in the solutions. Like the ego always has a solution for something that you're dealing with. You know, you know the answer is here. The answer is in this next opportunity. The answer is in this next purchase. The answer, it's always, and if you pay attention, the the story is basically what you want is just around the corner. Just around the corner. And with that sense of just around the corner, you're left with a desire for happiness. And everything that's just around the corner is a means to what it is that you want. If I can just get through my to-do list, I could be at peace. See? If I can just get the financial backing that I need, I could be at peace. If I can just get this person to agree with me, I can be at peace. If the world could be different, I can be at peace. Course in Miracles says, seek not to change the world, seek but to change your mind about the world. See, there's a difference there. So you're no longer seeking the means to that which you want in the world, in form, in situations. Course in Miracles says the end is inherent in the means. The end is inherent in the means. You do not need to seek love. You need to seek the barriers, the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And every one of these thoughts is a barrier. I mean, that's really the benefit of meditation in the sense that you take time or a moment or you use time to watch the thoughts that are bombarding you, right? And meditation for many of us can sometimes be difficult because we don't know how to stop all this thinking. Well, it's been going on for all your life. It's been the one steady thing that it's been it appears to be the one steady thing. It actually isn't the one steady thing. I'll come back to the one steady thing. Just put a pin on it for a moment. But it appears to be the one steady thing that's been there all your life. This voice, this chatter, this voice and chatter. And so meditation is another form of mind training in the sense that we practice watching. And if you're watching the thoughts or if you're listening to the thoughts, it must be that the thoughts are not you, right? Because there isn't two of you. So as you even contemplate that idea, then you ask yourself, if I'm not the thought, I'm if I am, let's say, the one listening to the thought, then what is that that's listening? Even as you sit here, there's something that precedes the thinking. There's something that's always here. And that's why I said put a pin on it. Because the thoughts, although they appear that they're here all the time, the truth is there's something else that's here all the time. And that is the portal. That is what you want to get to. That's what you want to access because within that is love. Within that is creativity. Within that is the ease. And even to say within that as if it was something else is not really accurate because that which I am pointing to is what encompasses everything. In that you are okay. If you take a moment, even as you sit in your seat, what I'm pointing to has no definition. There's something definitionless that lies within. It appears actually that it lies within. But with deeper inquiry, you realize that that's all there really is. That's the only reality there is. Reality with a capital R. Course in Miracles makes a clear distinction between reality with capital R and reality with a little r. Reality with the little r is what we experience in this world. But reality with the little r, when you investigate, you realize there's nothing true about it. Because in order for something to be true, it must be consistent. And it must be true always. Everything in this world is subject to a beginning and an end. Everything in this world is subject to decay. So, and is subject to perception, right? One person could look at the sky and think it's blue, someone else may think it's gray, right? So if there's contradicting perceptions, then you really can't say it's true. And that's what in watch the television, it's all contradiction, right? You got people for Ukraine, and you do have people for Russia. You have people against COVID, for COVID, plus mask, no mask, right? All this contradiction. Then it must be that it's all false. You've been swindled by the little voice in your head to believe it is right. Course in Miracles says, do you want to be right or you want to be happy? You cannot be both. Because in order to be right, someone has to be wrong, right? What do you want? Keeping that clear in your mind, for me, what that does is every time I have a desire to be right, what do I want? I go this path, I can be right. It'll feel good for a little bit. Or do I want eternal peace and happiness? I want eternal peace and happiness. Doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. And that's the benefit of what this practice is about. How about if you can go through life completely at peace, at ease, happy, regardless of what's happening in the world, regardless of what's happening on the screen, regardless of what you're hearing. You are no longer at the effect of what you see. You then realize that what you see is simply a reflection of an inner condition. So it's like if you, and I'm quoting another Course in Miracles teacher that when I heard it, it resonated with me so well. You go to the clothing store and you try on one of those beautiful things. What do you call that? The kimono? that what you call it? You go try on one of the kimonos, and you see, oh, you know what? It's just a little too long. You're looking in the mirror. You're in the fitting room. It's just a little too long. Now, you don't go up to the mirror and try to fix the length of it, right? Or for me, if I was in there with my collar, oh, my collar, I fix it at the source. When we try to fix problems in the world, it's like trying to go into the mirror. See? Peace of mind is not in the mirror. You can't control the mirror. That's why planning is a defense against God. God, let's just switch the word to love or peace. Planning is a defense against peace because it is not you who creates peace. Peace is already created, but it is you to seek the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. What is going on in my mind is the question. And the question is for the Holy Spirit. It's for the inner guidance. It's for the definitionless awareness for which you are. So it's an inner question of what is going on within my mind that is causing me to see this or experience this. And there is an invitation now. It's an invitation for the Holy Spirit to bring you in an answer. And that answer can come in any way. It can come in a form. It can come in words. It can come in a feeling. How it comes really doesn't matter. The point is, the moment you stop and are willing to be wrong about what you see, you open up the possibility to see something you want. Okay? You want to be right or happy. And that's the problem with perception is we often think we know what we see. That's why there's so much conflict. Is people believe what they see with conviction. And when you believe something with conviction, you will see what is not there. What do you want? If what you see seems to be causing you something you don't want to experience, it must shift. That is what A Course in Miracles would say is a miracle. A miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love. And so when we're asking ourselves, what is it there that's in me that has me seeing this? Then the fear thoughts, the unconscious guilt has an opportunity of coming up. It's kind of like a burp, you know? It's like it comes up, and you're like, I see it. Sometimes it's much more dramatic than that. When we have real growth, sometimes it'll bring us to our knees. I remember Marianne Williamson, in talking about A Course in Miracles, said, if this course does not bring you to your knees at one point or another, then you're not doing the course right. Because really what the course would say is it is a complete reversal of thinking. Everything that you've learned has to be questioned and unwound. And so when we talk about removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, we're talking about pausing and allowing a new answer to come in, that answer being from the Holy Spirit. I personally didn't always like that word Holy Spirit, only because I grew up as a Catholic. And in my mind, it just had this different, like, there was a different image that came up. The whole spirit, that's certainly better than the Holy Spirit, absolutely. Um, but inner guidance, intuition works. The idea is to pause and to stop the chatter, stop the loop. I mean, really, most of the stuff you think about is completely useless. I kind of laugh. Sometimes I'm like in my car and I've just had this whole scenario about how I'm going to say something. And it's like, huh. And then, of course, when I go to say it, I don't say it anything like I rehearsed it in my mind, right? There you go for planning. I mean, even today, I really didn't even know what I was going to talk about. But I did have the thought yesterday and this morning, like, oh my God, I got to figure out what I'm going to talk about. But it's a thought. You see how that one thought can separate you from love? You can be completely peaceful and just a little thought. I'm not prepared for tomorrow. what kind of state that puts you in. Is there a problem? No, there's not a problem. I just got to talk from my heart. So the Holy Spirit being one kind of avenue for us to take when we're seeking a miracle or shift. The other, which is really what this is all leading to in terms of what the Course is teaching, is basically forgiveness, which the Course will define as watch without judgment. In fact, Jesus' central teaching was judge not. He didn't make exceptions. Even when he was put to death, there was no exception. Judge not, watch without judgment. That's it. Because the world is still going to do what it's going to do. In other words, eh, your our idea or my idea of perfection of the world, in all likelihood, in fact, I wouldn't even say in all likelihood, I will say the statement will not conform to my ideal. That is what I have to accept if I want peace. I The world is going to do what it's going. There's always going to be destruction and rebirth in the world. That's the way the world works. We're in spring right now. I can hear the birds chirping. It's a beautiful symbol of rebirth. Jesus's resurrection would not be the resurrection without the crucifixion. That is a part of the world. So how can I watch the world from a different perspective? Because the old perspective, or the old attitude was, let me try to control the world based on what I think I need and what will make me happy. Course in Miracles will be very clear and say, you don't know your best interest. Look how good a job you've done for the first 50 years. But I do. Not me. God would say he does. But that would require a huge trust in God. And that's really the example that Jesus led. Huge trust in God. So the invitation today, and I'll start winding down, is simply to pause and stop for the Holy Spirit in every decision that you make, in everything that you're going to do. And let the trigger of anxiety, of fear, of hopelessness, of anger, let all of those serve one purpose. And that purpose is to show you where within you have blocks to the awareness of love's presence. Thank you, everybody. Um, I will, if anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to share. Otherwise, I'll hand the mic over.
I was wondering. I was wondering if you could say something about the basic guilt that everybody carries that comes from the idea of separations. That, like, well, since part of me knows that there is a greater source or God, but part of me doesn't. It's a split mind, but the part that doesn't still feels guilty for splitting off and denying. And the Course is so much too about giving up guilt.
Yeah, we don't realize it, but all of us have this inherent, and you can't escape it. I don't care how much money you have, I don't care how beautiful you are. We all have a sense of unworthiness. It is inherent in the idea of separation because the thought is simply, I've done something wrong. And I have my own kind of like theory on this based on, what kind of makes sense and from a worldly view is that you're, and I've heard someone else speak about this, and I'm sorry, I can't think of who that was to give credit, but just imagine for a moment that, before you were born, you are bliss, you are joy, you are everything that you aspire to now be and have and experience. And then all of a sudden you get slapped in the butt and you start wailing out in a cry and you're like, what just happened? What did I do? How did I separate from that which is all encompassing love? What happened? And from that moment on, I would say, and this is not the Course speaking, this is me, is that is the original sin, the thought of original sin, the mistake that you somehow separated from your source. And then that gets conditioned um, very heavily from that point on. You're told that you're separate. You're given a name. You're given, um, parents, and this is where you live, a social class, and so the mind becomes conditioned. Unlike, for example, the wild, like you think of wild animals that are not subject to conditioning, but rather are just being, which is really being in itself is really what we all want is just to be exactly as we are, who we are, without thinking about conforming to someone else's ideals, even our own ideals of what we should and shouldn't do. So that guilt from very early on persists, and we look at the world and we see evidence of that guilt. Remember, the world is always a reflection of an inner condition, and we believe in our guilt so strongly that it's really hard to unwind away from it. And so Stephen's absolutely correct in that much of the course is about understand is about dissolving the guilt so that you can experientially understand who you truly are. Because the story we tell ourselves about who we are, what we've done in the past, the mistakes that we've made, who we've hurt, our worthiness is questioned all the time. And that is unconscious guilt. And that will reflect in your experience. And so when the unconscious guilt is dissolved, then what's left?
More questions?
I've got one question, and it has to do with what you said at the beginning about planning. I've got this thing, yeah, but what about, you got to plan.
So the question is, you talked about planning, and the thought that I'm having is, yeah, but. So let's distinguish planning, or just for the sake, because there is, obviously a practical application of planning, right? If I say I'm going to have lunch with you tomorrow, it's important that we know what time we're going to meet. And so there's a practical application. If I was giving a dissertation on, biology or something, I would probably need to know what I'm going to talk about. So there's a practical application. The planning, and that's totally fine. What I'm really, or what the course is really aiming at is the the suffering that comes as a result when your planning doesn't match what's happening. In other words, I'm late to now the lunch that we planned at 12 o'clock. All understanding is lost that there are variables that I was in traffic for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So we can plan from a practical standpoint, but the idea that your planning actually means something in terms of your happiness is really what we're trying to question and dissolve and realize. I mean, once you realize that you really don't know, um, then you don't take planning so seriously. The more serious you take planning, the more you will suffer. You'll get upset when you don't get the job. You'll get upset when the house doesn't close. You'll get upset when your partner or husband or wife doesn't, do as what you expected. You get upset that your business idea doesn't take off. You get upset that you're getting the county give you follow. So this is a lot of suffering as a result of my idea of how things are supposed to be, because I think before in the story that somebody said or read in the quote was, things don't always work out the way you want them to be. I would argue things never really work out the way you want them to be. Truly, when you really look at things. That's not to say that you don't get what you want, because I'm actually on the other side. You can have everything you want, but how you get there is the difference. Does that make sense? So yes, to the practicality, um, the question really lies into the idea that your investment in the planning. That's the trick. Do I have an investment in my planning? As in other words, if something doesn't go along with the planning, do I understand that it's not anybody's fault? You can't get mad at me because I didn't show up on time. You follow? You have to, in order to be happy, you have to let everyone go of guilt and everything off of guilt. And that's why forgiveness is so important. It's not about I'm doing anybody any favors by forgiving them. And by the way, forgiveness isn't something that I do. Forgiveness is something that the Holy Spirit, something within me can do to watch without judgment. When I forgive, or as long as I'm willing to forgive, then I'm not necessarily doing it for them. I'm doing it for myself because really, I want to be able to watch myself without judgment. So I'm forgiving what seems to be the outside world, but really it's to forgive myself, to forgive me. Because if I don't judge other people, I can let go of judgment on myself. That that help. Yeah. Yeah. And look, this I get it. I'm not the world. The Course in Miracles says the world is an illusion, right? But it says also that the illusion is just as real in its effects as is the truth. The illusion is just as real in its effects. So if we're afraid of that, and this is uneasy. This is uneasy. This teaching, it's extremely uneasy because again, it goes against everything. I mean, imagine you're not planning. Whoa. I mean, when I wake up, the first thing I do is look at my phone, like what's going on today, like how do I have to plan my day? So I get it, but I'm also willing to be wrong and that I don't necessarily have to do that all the time. And I can be spontaneous and I can allow for, I can trust that what needs to happen will happen in accordance. And I will be told what to do. I can trust. I will be told what to do. In fact, A Course in Miracles, there's a whole prayer that talks about, I'm just here to be helpful. I will be guided what to say, what to do, who to say it to. I would just I'm in the now. That's what we're talking about. I'm present. I'm just present. Oh, I gotta. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, I feel. I'm not feeling to do that. You follow? So it's a different guiding system rather than the capriciousness of the ego that's always laying out how the week needs to go and everything needs to go. So. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, and that's okay. That's great, and that's awesome. So yeah, but and what will be interesting to see is when that happens. Like, oh, it was a situation of my creation. It's like if you're late to our lunch date, and I'm upset at you for being late. Of course, Miko says you're not upset for the reasons you think. The truth is, I'm not upset because you're late. I'm upset because I am incapable of just waiting. I'm incapable of because I put value on my time of some sort, some arbitrary value. I'm upset because I think I should be doing something else. Like it always comes back to me. It really has nothing to do with anybody else.
One last question. Would you like to come here every week?
I wish I was closer.
you know, just you articulate from your heart very well. 'Cause I'm a student of the course, and I wish I could remember as well as he does. And we are going to take. Are you going out to lunch with us at this Ohana restaurant right here above the parking lot after the service? So we're taking him to lunch. And how many people would be interested in joining us? One. Would you put your hands up if you're at all interested? 2, 3. Okay, great. We just need a 4, 5, 6. All right. Now it's our opportunity to share in the financial support of this center. We bless all the gifts given to this community, financial and otherwise. We bless the givers and the receivers. We know that as we willingly share our abundance with others, we are opening a channel for greater abundance. And I would like to mention also, Aaron's manning this little table over here. We have some stickers for supporting the Ukraine that were left with us at yesterday's event. I think they were asking like $4 for them or something. And I know all the money going to this Ukraine support is not getting sucked up in some big organization. It's going to a really boots on the ground grassroots organization in the Ukraine directly. So that's over there if you'd like to support the Ukraine. So you could. It's been so long since we passed the coal bowl. I almost forgot I'm supposed to pass it around. So I'm going to pass the coal bowl now, and you can put your love in the bowl.
So I'd like to play my superhero song. I come to realize that it's actually the moms in the world. I'm sure many of you are moms, and the moms are the true superhero in the world. But I wrote this song a little bit earlier in your life. I'm sure you were all supergirls, the women in the room, not to exclude the men, but this is my superhero song. You're super, 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 super sweet. And you're super, 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 super fun to me. Just walking and talking down your super street. We're gonna make this a super world. We're gonna use our superpower, our love. Yeah, it's a superpower, our love. It gets stronger by the hour, superpower, our love. It opens like a beautiful flower, our love. It's a superpower, and you're super, 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 super sweet. And you're super, 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 super fun to me. Just walking and talking down your super street. We're gonna make this a super world. We're gonna make this a super world. Yeah, because you're super, super sweet. And you're super, 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 super fun to me. Just walking and talking down your super street. You're my superhero. I'm gonna tell everyone everywhere I go. I know walking and talking down a super street. We're gonna make this a super world. We're gonna make this a super world. We're gonna use our superpower, our love. It's a superpower, our love. Yeah, it's stronger by the hour, our love. It's like a beautiful flower. We'll make this a superpower. We're gonna make this a superpower. Cause you're super, 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 super sweet. You're super, 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 super fun. Just walking and talking down your super street. We're gonna make this a super world. We're gonna make this a super world. We're gonna make this a super world.
Thanks, Kaimana. Wow, Kaimana. Yeah, I'm so glad you rose the energy. Got up, everybody dancing and happy. I'd still, I'd like to bless the abundance that you've given. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am and all that I have and all that I circulate. Now we're going to have upcoming events at the New Thought Center. The next 3 Sundays. On next Sunday, it's Adriana Atento, 3 Masterful Ways to Expand Your Experience of Life. Music will be by Mahina and Christina. They're great musicians. You'll enjoy it. Then on 4/17, which is Easter service and a potluck after the service, we have Donna Maria Bordeaux is our presenter, and she's got so much beautiful energy. She always seems so happy. On 4/24, Manuel Roberto, his title is Guided by Love, his memorable teachers and leaders of New Thought Center of Hawaii. Okay, he's been with the New Thought Center for a long time, and he's music by Bernice and Manuel. Last Sunday of every month, last Sunday we had our produce giveaway after service. That was great. First Sunday of the month, that was today. We had Crystal Bowl meditations by Aaron from 8:30 to 9 a.m. Next event will be May 1st. Then on this coming Saturday as a special event, we have Dance, Sweat, and Breathe with Ariano. Atento, is that how you pronounce that, Pasha? Oh, hi. Welcome. Thank you. And you could say something quickly about that if you wanted to say something. And then we also have service opportunities. We need volunteers, greeters, set up, clean up, etc. And I forgot to mention that today we got a beautiful lay presented to Craig by Patty Wall. Thank you for doing that, Patty. Here, just make it brief.
Good, here. You're on. Hello, everyone. I really love to dance. And when I lived on the Big Island, I used to dance here in Kealakekua at, there was a Wednesday night, come when you can, dance, stay if you want to participate in the closing circle. And it really was a meditation and a therapy for me. And that is not happening anymore. And so this was my way of kind of bringing that back, actually for myself, but of course for everyone also. So it's Sundays from 4 to 6, Saturdays 4 to 6, starting this Saturday. Thank you.
And it's a sliding scale. Uh, Suggested by donation $5 to $15. Also, we need volunteers for our 50th Jubilee planning for a big online auction that we're really looking forward to. We need a techie person to recreate and maintain our Facebook page for New Thought. It's a slightly paid position. It can be. And we're going to need a cleaning replacement for a while, which is also, that's like cleaning the lanai and stuff. If you know anybody that's doing that kind of work, and that's also paid position, that it's temporary. We have some other upcoming workshops, and we need facilitators for those. It says see Tony, Terry. I should have brought my glasses. Anyways, to volunteer, speak to a board member, or send an email to the spirit of New Thought Center of Hawaii.com. You can also click reply on your weekly newsletter. If you would like to get the weekly newsletter, sign the guest book over here and we'll send it to you. Also, I put over there a blue sheet. Like I said, I'm a longtime student of the Course in Miracles. If any of you feel inspired enough, why don't you come over and sign that sheet to let me know you're interested in forming a group once a week, either here on this lanai or possibly online. So that's over there. And that's all. Don't forget about lunch. Thank you so much for being here. It feels like community again all over. So now we're going to have our closing song, which is, I didn't get clear with you on that. Do you know that? So it's going to be a cappella. So some start us off. It's like you don't want it to be me.
So I'm okay starting, but I will just mention, I talk about that there's islands in Hawaii, just like 7 chakra. Each chakra, each island has a color and a sound associated with it. And A is the sound of the throat. Yeah, we say, we proclaim, we create with the voice. So we start out in many Hawaiian chants with A. Yeah, we're calling out. We're saying E Hawaii. Yeah, and then E Hawaii aloha E. Right? So we'll see. I guess we're not holding hands, maybe. E Hawaii
Nawe kuhome kuia ivine oli no aina pono lani o he Hawaii aloha e aoli na o pio o Hawaii ne oli oli oli
Mana ahe ahe makani e pamaine, pamaine. Mauke aloha, no Hawaii. E haoli na o pio o Hawaii ne. Oli e, oli e, oli oli e. Mana ahe ahe makani e pamaine, pamaine. Mauke aloha, no Hawaii. Mauke aloha, no Hawaii. Woo! Bless us all.
Thank you all for touching. But that's all, folks.